Welcome to Monkey See,
Monkey Review.
where this week we are going to be finally covering part one, spoiler right there, part one of the finale of The Bad Batch.
That's right.
So, I
If
know.
you haven't watched it, we're about to commence some spoilers. So spoiler alert, go watch it, come back, we'll talk about it.
Big spoilers.
Yeah.
Big spoilers. Big episode. Dude, okay, so for real, all up in the feels, man.
Yeah.
Like, this episode was like all up in the feels. I was like, I don't know how to process some of this, but overall, loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it. First takeaways?
Great episode.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, pulled the heartstrings the whole time. Just cinematography through it.
Yeah.
Crosshairs. And they really focused on him primarily through this episode and his feelings.
He finally got his episode.
Yep.
Finally got his episode, and it was a spectacular episode.
Yeah, it was good. What about you?
Dude, loved every minute of it. It was definitely one of those things where getting up, watching it, I was just like, oh, dude, like, what in the world am I supposed to do right now? Like, after you finish it, you just sit there like, what? I don't know how to feel. I don't know how to process.
I mean, yeah, because you come from the Clone Wars series where you're on Kamino a decent amount.
Yeah.
You're on Kamino in this series a little bit, even through the live action movies. And, kind of feels like a home, right?
Yeah.
And then throughout the whole Clone Wars series, I mean, the clones, that's their home, right?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, it feels like you're going home a little bit.
Yeah,
especially
I mean,
if
you have that attachment.
Yeah, especially if you really, watched the Clone Wars series and this and really have fallen in love with this series and the Clone Wars series as a whole. I mean, it's still one of the best Star Wars storylines that they've ever done.
Absolutely.
As far as character development, I mean, you see him in the Attack of the Clones, right?
Yes.
All right. Don't really have a lot of connection there with the clones. It's just an army, right?
Right.
But in the Clone Wars series, I mean, they make you really fall in love with the characters, and each clone has its own personality.
Yes.
So it's not just a clone; they're men.
Yeah, we're no longer just the same cookie cutter stamped out, character. No, like each one of these, even though they are genetically identical, they're all incredibly individual when we get down to the personality of most of the clones you meet. Some of them are, of course, clones, copied, after each other. But there are so many that you just fall in love with and get so emotionally attached to. Especially, I feel like in this series, in The Bad Batch, where we've had that opportunity to meet 5 very individually different clones.
I thought the same thing with the Clone Wars series too.
Yes.
With Rex, I mean, you'd think all the members of the 501st, I felt like they were more individualized than the rest of the clone army. I don't know if that was just within both Anakin Skywalker and his type of leadership.
Yeah. And that's, one of the things that's definitely been said is because of Anakin bucking the system of the Jedi Order and being an individual in a system that really tries to get you to copy and assimilate, his clones picked that up from him and developed their own individual personalities and traits.
That's why Rex is such a big character.
Yes.
Through it.
Yes. Rex is fantastic.
He's by far one of the best characters.
Absolutely.
I mean, it really drives the Clone Wars series, I think,
a
whole.
Oh, yeah.
Him and Ahsoka, I mean, you got some big players there.
Those are some huge characters right there.
Yeah.
Some great.
So.
But this episode, so starting off in this episode, we pick up from last week's episode. Hunter's been captured. He is in the custody of Crosshairs and his squad. And opening scene, Hunter's waking up. Crosshairs walks into the room where he's being kept in a cell and grabs his communicator, his comm device, and signals the rest of the Bad Batch so that they know where he's at.
It's like, they know that's going to be a trap, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they'll come anyways.
They'll come anyways, exactly, because they won't leave theirs behind.
Not usually.
Not usually.
Yeah.
Like, you get, so many instances in this whole episode where Crosshairs is you can just see the bitterness.
He's betrayed.
He has been.
He's been betrayed by his team. And
his family. That's his family.
Yep.
Like, he may be a clone just like the rest of them. But
which is interesting because, through it, even the Admiral and some of his squad mates are starting to question his loyalty to the Empire and to them.
Yeah.
So, I thought it was just great. I mean, Crosshair's development through this, even it's like a one story arc so far. I mean, you found out more about Crosshairs than we have the entire series.
Yes.
Thus far.
In this one episode.
Yeah.
So, Yeah. So, and of course, Bad Batch, they're fixing their ship. They talk to Sid. Sid's not happy.
Yeah.
And then they get the signal that Hunter has activated his comm,
And they're back on Kamino.
and they're back on Kamino.
Yep.
So it's definitely that moment where we talked about it last week where you were like, I don't know if they'll go back to Kamino. I was like, I think they will, but just because they made such a big deal about the whole aspect of not going back to Kamino,
And now they're there.
and here we are back on Kamino.
Yeah, because especially when the Empire's pulling everybody out. I
Yeah.
thought they may go to the new base, but I guess they wanted to finish out.
Yeah, well,
There.
they wanted to put that little nail in the coffin, like
Yep.
just go ahead and give you that last moment with Kamino.
Yeah.
Jumping ahead there,
Big spoiler.
big
there.
spoiler alert right there, guys. So, anyways, Bad Batch shows up on Kamino.
Thanks to Omega's knowledge
Yes.
of the secret
Yes.
labs and tube systems and landing platforms. So
So, what did you think about that, dude? When we find out that these tubes lead to the secret laboratory
and other places
for
in the
Nala
city.
Say.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, that right there, we still ain't seen the body for the Prime Minister, so there's the potential that he escaped. I'm not holding on to that hope, but there's always that potential.
He
You
could
know how
do that.
they'll bring somebody out of the woodwork.
Yep.
But we go to Nala Say's secret lab where Project 99 started. And Omega makes the statement of, this is where I was born. This is where y'all were born.
I
And
was here.
I was here.
So she's technically older than all of them, and she does not have the
The
Growth.
aging enhancement.
Yep.
Yes. So she doesn't have the rapid aging.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, though, because of the fact that we still don't know how old she is.
no.
I wonder if they did not do something in reverse where she ages slower.
I think she's just normal time.
Okay.
Honestly,
All right.
just normal kid, just like
Maybe. I mean, but Boba always seemed just a little bit older in the Clone Wars than what I feel like Omega. And
Yeah,
that
but
might be
she-
life experience.
well, yeah, and I think she was probably created after the fact.
Yeah.
Bubba was probably created Gen 1,
Yes.
so they were there for a long time before we were introduced to them.
Yes.
So I think Omega probably wasn't made yet.
Yeah.
They're
No,
probably still working on all the
absolutely.
kinks and stuff, which is interesting though, because if she's the number one clone, right,
Mm-hmm.
for the Bad Batch, and she has the genetic makeup of the original host in her DNA, so then they can clone more from her.
Yes.
It's pretty genius on them to disguise her as a girl
Absolutely.
on Kamino, and then we know now that the Bad Batch was
Right.
created down there.
Right. And they even said they were created here, their mutations were enhanced here, and then they were slipped back in
With the regular
with the
clones.
regular clones. So that to me is extremely interesting, and I hope that next season, because it has been confirmed, we get a season 2 coming in 2022. Next season, could we finally get some backstory from Nala Se? Because I think it's going to turn into one of those things where we got to rescue the rest of the clones, and we got to rescue the last of the Kamino, the Kaminoans. So, but that again, that's jumping ahead. That's a whole nother discussion we can have in a minute. But so they go in, and Crosshairs knows that they're in the base.
Yep.
He activates it, lets them know exactly where they're going to be at. It's the training center where we've
He
seen them
knows
fighting.
exactly where they're going to come in at, exactly what they're going to do. He
Yeah.
sets it up beautifully.
And they tried to be slick about it. They were
They
like,
tried.
"We'll take the lift because he won't expect that." And then Wrecker's like, "I think he did."
Yep, he did it. Where's your little friend at? You think we bring her here? You were never good at lying, Wrecker.
Right. Oh, still one of my favorites. I
Yeah.
still love Wrecker.
That was a great scene, though.
It
Even
was.
with Omega doing her thing underneath,
Yes.
trying to save
She
the team.
She's like, okay, they've been caught. They find the AZ droid that we've kind of seen through the end of Clone Wars, and now we've seen again in the Bad Batch. So he's hiding down in the basement. So he comes with them. Omega's like, "You're coming with us." They run off. Then they're downstairs of the training facility, and they start activating the droids.
Yep.
All the battle droids that they would use for training simulations that we saw, and I believe in season 3, when we meet Clone 99 and we meet all the other clones, for the first time. We meet Fives and all
Yeah,
of them.
because that's when they make the
The
reference
chronological.
to the Bad Batch.
Yes, they do.
Which I was watching that again the other day. I'm like, they literally named the show in season 3.
Yeah.
It's crazy because
Yeah.
I was watching. I'm like, okay, that's Clone 99. I'm like, okay, he's a defective clone.
Yeah.
And then they with the admiral there was it the smuggler? Guy that was training that group of clones.
Bounty hunter.
Bounty hunter.
He was a bounty hunter.
Bounty hunter. And he makes reference to they should be thrown down there in the basement with 99 in the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
But here's another thing. Let's go back to the cloning room that Nala Se had. There's 12 tubes there.
Yep.
So we have only met potentially 5 or 6. So did she clone some other specials?
She could have. Yeah.
I think she would, because why else would they sit there? And I mean, they were all different sizes, tall, short, small, big. So we could this. I honestly believe what they're doing is they're setting up this very large connection to the sequel trilogy, the cloning there, which makes sense why the Empire takes the cloning facility and all of its people, all the Kaminoans, that the scientists,
Key medical personnel. Everyone else was eliminated.
Yes.
Yep.
So, anyways, she activates the clones or the droids. They pop up out of the floor, but Crosshairs actually goes ahead and takes out the rest of the TK troopers.
He's pleading with his team, saying, "You never gave me a chance. I'm gonna do what you never did for me. I'm gonna give you a chance to join me again."
Yeah.
And then tells his team to stand down, and they would not. So he does what he does, and he takes them out.
Yeah.
Because notice before he has little mirrors.
Yes.
On the ground, and then the tech and Wrecker notice it. So it's like, okay, interesting. So
one shots them all, man.
Yep. He knew exactly where they're going to be at. I mean, he had everything planned out perfectly. He knew what the Bad Batch was going to do. He knew what his team was going to do.
Yep.
And he executed it perfectly.
He may be actually, now that we're getting to see a little bit more of him, he may be a better tactician than what we have seen with Hunter so far.
Potentially. Or maybe they always work together a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, he might have been the second hand to setting up the squad.
Yep.
So, I don't know. I'm really excited, though.
Yeah.
So, we go from there. The droids pop up out of the ground afterwards.
Yep.
Then we get to see Crosshairs actually back in the mix with the Bad Batch.
After him and Hunter kind of go at it for a minute.
Yep.
Hunter gets his gun back. Instead of taking out Crosshairs, he starts taking out droids.
Yes.
And then Crosshairs jumps back in and
starts taking out the rest of the droids too. I mean, it's beautiful, man. Yeah. This is one of the most beautiful storytelling moments we've had with this season. Yeah. Going back and looking at a lot of episodes after seeing this episode, you're just like, man, there was a lot of filler.
Yep.
Because if they could do this kind of action and it's character development, I get it. Don't hate Mellis, but it's still one of those moments where it's just like, wow, okay, so we could have had some incredible action this entire time. Yeah. But they take out the droids. Crosshair and Hunter have some words.
Yeah, he says, this is not you. It's your inhibitor chip.
Yeah.
What inhibitor chip? I had that removed a long time ago. Yeah. When? Doesn't matter. Yeah. This is who I am.
Yep.
And then they both draw. Hunter gets him first.
Yep.
But he stuns him.
Yes, he does. We see the Bad Batch following through again with stunning the clones and not taking people out, not killing people, man. Yep. They're not about that.
Yep. Well, they only shot at one person. Mm-hmm. This episode was just Crosshairs.
Yeah.
One bullet. So it is. It's interesting. Crosshairs does not have his inhibitor chip.
Right.
Potentially. So it's a matter of when that happened, because we saw in the beginning of the season that they turned it up.
They were amplifying it.
Yeah. So when did he get it removed and how?
Exactly. And he even sits there and like you just said, does it matter? Well, yeah, it matters.
So now we're wondering, I was wondering, okay, so if they turned up the chip, did it somehow permanently set that in his mind?
Well,
the programming?
I'm curious if did they really remove the chip, or did they tell him they removed the chip?
Well, he said he did.
see, how did he do that? We know that he has the burn scars right here, and from that episode,
He has one mark right here.
but everything, all the chips are on the right side of the brain.
Yeah.
So, and the scarring where he's burned would be about the place for the scarring of the removal of the inhibitor chip.
Yeah, because Hunter looked at it.
Yeah. Turned him over to look.
Yep.
And because of the burns, you can't see if there's a surgical scar there.
Yep.
So, did he?
I don't know.
I have no idea, but I do think that's an incredible question.
See, ultimately, this episode could have been the season finale.
Oh, yes.
100%. Now we're getting another episode.
Now we
which
get
is
one more episode.
awesome.
Yes.
But, I mean, they tied everything up in this episode where you could end the season.
Yes.
Well, and be okay. It's on a cliffhanger, like we thought
Yeah.
it was going to be. But, I mean, ultimately, they could end it right here, and
Yeah.
you have enough closure
Yes.
where you'd be okay.
You could be okay for another until season 2.
Now, it just begs the question: what are they going to do next episode?
Well, see,
to see if we're going to be okay for next season or not.
That's the thing. Because, I mean, we literally, like, we're episode 15 of 16,
Yep.
and we just got word this week confirmed a season 2. So, did they plan this whole season out to be able to wrap up in one season? I don't think so.
No, I
Dave
think they
Filoni's
always
not like
planned
that.
on more seasons.
Yes.
But with everything, they gotta see how the series goes before they call it up for season 2. Or they did the same thing with Loki. They didn't announce season 2 until the end of the episode.
Exactly.
So
And
it's always
and that's-
pre-planned.
And I agree with that. I think that's just the Disney Plus style of, we're not going to tell you get a season 2. We're going to let you sweat it out until like
Yeah, it's
the
just
last
like all
week.
the Marvel movies. You don't get anything till the end credit scene.
Exactly.
And then the Avengers will return. It's
Yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Kind
I
of
needed more than
expecting
that,
at this point,
But okay. Yeah.
Can you get a little bit more than just they will be back? I
Yeah.
mean,
So we end this episode where cut scenes.
Yes.
We're talking about the mess hall, the cloning facility. We're in the training room. We're in the empty hallways. There's nobody there but the Bad Batch.
the Empire has moved all the clones and all the medical personnel, everything that is of value, off of Kamino.
And then as the final battle is commencing, they're about to leave, and the Empire is the loom of the Empire is pulling towards the city.
Yes.
And, the Admiral says to the other member of Crosshair's team, let the clones die together. Like,
Yeah.
we're going to take this place out. And then they get in position.
Yep.
He looks or the clone looks back up. The Admiral says, we're in position. Open fire. So the clone actually opened fire on Kamino,
Yes.
their home, which they would have defended with their lives because that's the only home that they have. They push the button that destroys Kamino.
Yes. And the Bad Batch is still on Kamino.
Yep. And that's where we end it. Them
And
running away from
fade
the
to
blaster
black.
fire, and then you see blaster bolts cutting down the support beams for the main
for the
facility.
hubs. Yes. Dude. So this whole thing had me like tore up when all that was going on. It's just like, no.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's how they ended. Like,
Yeah.
you could have ended
Yeah.
the season right there because
Cliffhanger right there.
you've taken the entire arc back to Kamino. Crosshair's back with his
Yes.
team, even though he doesn't have his inhibitor chip
Yes.
somehow. Omega's fully a part of the team now,
Oh, yes.
right? And now Kamino's being destroyed.
Yep.
Empire is in full swing,
Yes.
and what's going to happen next?
We are fully hardcore rolling into the dark times
Yep.
that
And
Obi-Wan heard to.
Yet we get one more freaking episode.
And we get one more
This is part 1
of
of part 2, or honestly, it's probably going to be a part 3.
Yeah.
Part 3 will come next year.
Yes.
Don't you guys suck? That's what I would do. We've been talking about a three episode story arc.
Yes.
So we know we're getting episode 16.
Yes.
We're not confirmed in episode 17. So
No.
it's probably going to be part 3. It's season 2, episode 1.
Maybe.
Potentially.
I don't know this. Maybe
Potentially.
episode 16 is going to be a double-length episode.
Or, surprise, we get episode 17. Let's go.
Yeah, for real.
Surprise me.
Do that, Disney. Do that. I
me one more
need
week.
this, Feige.
Give me
Not
one more
Feige,
week.
but
Filoni.
Filoni.
Yeah.
Too many directors with an F in their name.
I know.
Filoni, do this for me. Dude, come on, bro. Like, we'll work out a deal. What do we need to do here? But yeah, dude, like, so this whole thing has got me just on edge. Like this episode ended, and I was just like, no, no, no,
Because
no.
it just cuts to black.
Yeah.
They're running down the hallway and then just black.
And then
Black screen, and it's like a very slow fade to end credits.
yes, it was just like they just did that. They just played me like
It was a
that.
beautiful episode.
Oh, it was beautiful.
I mean, just
So, sound wise, cinematography wise, so many aspects from the old series, like songs and scores and things like that, and like they just interwove all of this so beautifully. Even the moment where we see Tarkin's hologrammed into Admiral Rampart, and Admiral Rampart's like, we have everything cleared off, and he's just like, now that we have everything secured in the Empire for the cloning facility, you may fire when ready.
Yep.
Just beautiful. And he's like, move into position. And
that's
then,
what's beautiful scene,
oh,
man.
like everything about this episode, man.
I mean, the lightning in the background, you see the 3 destroyers just slowly creeping up.
Yes.
The loom of doom coming.
Yes.
Doom and destruction.
This is your slow destruction coming your way.
Open fire.
Yes.
They don't even like plant bombs or anything in the facility. Like,
No.
no, we're gonna blow this thing up with our ships.
Yeah. Yeah. Like this, I honestly, like this wasn't like, okay, like Hunter makes a comment, oh, this facility's being decommissioned. No, it's being destroyed. Like, yeah, we're not even going to try to take the equipment off that we could use. We'll just rebuild.
All the files have been deleted.
Yes.
So copied and deleted. So they have all the records and everything. So it's like this facility will never have existed.
Yes. Which begs the question. They took all the scientists. They took all of the key members and the clones. What's going to happen? Are they going to repurpose the clones? Because we already see that they have training facilities set up, and they're already rolling out. We see that in this episode.
Well, they could just all become training officers.
They could, but I mean, we had younglings. We had the small kids last week asking asking Nalase, are we still going to be soldiers? And she's like, yes, that's what you were created for.
Yep.
So what happens? Like, I'm so invested and so curious as to what happens.
Well, we do know
after
that
this.
Snoke
Yes.
is a clone.
Well, that's been again confirmed.
Right.
Right.
So
Yeah, we got on
where are we going
on
next?
Exegol. We have the cloning facilities where we see Snoke's in the tubes.
Yep.
In the comic books, we have a lot of stuff right now where we have seen clones being created. We know that Rey's father, biological father, was a clone of Palpatine, and she is technically the granddaughter or daughter of Palpatine, if in a weird way. Yeah, like whiteboard trying to do the math.
Oh, it's like Boba if you had ever had a kid.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's very interesting. So, but anyways, this episode was fantastic. The way it ends, it sets up so many things for this next season.
Yep. And we get one more episode.
Yeah, and we still get one more episode.
Yep.
Like, I feel like this is like a little birthday present. Like, here you go. We love you enough. Here's an extra episode.
Pretty much what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, we're not going to make you sit here for a whole year and just, like, chew your fingers. Like,
But no, I think it's still coming.
Oh, it's still coming. Yeah, they're still going to leave us with a big enough cliffhanger that we are emotionally invested. I would love for them to wind up, like AZ, have, like, a hidden file and activates a little hologram from Nala saying, you have to rescue us or else they will destroy you all.
Yep.
Like if they're working on a clone bomb or something like that. I'm just saying, man, it's Star Wars. We can get out there with it.
Well, we definitely can. I don't think they'll do that, though. But anyways.
Yeah.
We don't know.
So, final thoughts?
Great episode. Loved it. If I was going to rate it, 4.8.
Yeah.
It was good.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
4.8.
It was good.
4.8, man.
Yeah.
Music, score, characters. Everybody got their moment to shine in this episode, too.
Yeah.
That's another thing I loved about this episode. Everybody got their moment to shine. It was glorious.
Yeah.
So.
It's beautiful.
Anyways, anything else you want to add?
That's it.
Okay, we got one more episode next week for the Bad Batch, and then, we'll pick this up next season.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, do us a favor. Hit the like,
Subscribe.
leave a comment, and guess what? We're going to talk. We love you guys. We'll see y'all next week.
Bye, guys.